West African defense chiefs are meeting for a second day in Ghana to discuss possible military action in Niger. The regional bloc known as ECOWAS is running out of options as the military regime in Niger that overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum 3 weeks ago has ignored previous deadlines to reinstate him. In the meantime, Niger's humanitarian crisis is growing worse. Already one of the poorest countries in the world, aid groups say that ECOWAS sanctions are making it hard for them to get food and supplies into the country. Here's Nigeria's defense chief speaking earlier.
I would like to remind us all that the purpose of our gathering is not simply to react to events, but to proactively chart a course that preserves peace, promotes stability, and upholds democratic principles across our region. We must remember that our collective actions today will shape the legacy we leave for future generations.
And for more on this story, I'm joined by our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. So, Philip, this is the second day of these talks between these military chiefs. Is there any sign that progress is being made toward any kind of decision?
Well, I think that they would like to give the impression that there is some progress being made, certainly towards the drawing up of this military force to intervene in Niger to put Mohamed Bazoum back in charge of the country and to restore democracy. What we've been seeing over the past 24 hours is that yesterday there were discussions over the drawing up of this force and the members taking part in it. There are now 5 who've agreed to commit forces to the intervention force. There are Nigeria, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau just coming on board saying it's ready to provide at least 500 soldiers. We know that Cote d'Ivoire is ready to commit about 1,000 soldiers, but it's still a bit short of the actual number needed to be able to counter the forces within Niger itself if they decide to react to try to prevent the restoration of democracy on the orders of the junta. It all depends on how this military operation is going to take place. But what the defense chiefs are saying basically is that the planification period is over. This reunion today, the second day, is being used to discuss the different engagements. What we're not expecting at the end of the day is a statement from ECOWAS saying this has been decided and this is when the military intervention is going to take place. I think that is going to be kept under wraps because they obviously want to keep an element of surprise in store for the military leaders in Niger. That said, I think that still the bottom line here is that the way forward is by negotiation and by diplomacy. They really don't want to use this military force unless they absolutely have to, because there's always the risk that it could go wrong, it could spiral out of control, it could cause regional conflict, and what happens if ECOWAS does intervene and it doesn't manage to put Mohamed Bazoum back into power and it's the coup leaders who manage to push back this military intervention? All of those are questions, of course, that no one can answer right now.
Well, so if diplomacy does work, and I think that's what everyone is sort of hoping for, if there's some kind of negotiated settlement, what might that look like?
Well, that is very difficult to see right now because there's been no movement from the junta. And although they met with religious leaders last week saying they're open to negotiations, and a few hours later we heard that they were going to try the ousted president for high treason, which has been seen by ECOWAS as a provocation. There are increasing calls for the situation to be resolved and worry about what's going on in Niger. We had several reactions today, one from the Deputy General Secretary of Niger's Party for Democracy and Socialism. His name is Baboucar Sabo, who says victory for Niger's coup leaders would be the end of democracy in Africa. We've also had a reaction from the United Nations saying the very notion of freedom in Niger is at stake, and another reaction from the former president of Niger, Mamadou Issoufou, who said that he was upset by accusations that he was behind the coup, saying no, and I want Mohamed Bazoum to be restored to power. So pressure is growing, but still no real outcome on how they're going to deal with the junta.
Okay, to be continued, our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, thanks as always.